Well, let's get it. God bless you this morning. Welcome to Let's Cross Together with yours truly, the mental health pastor, Fernando Cottrell. I'm glad to be here. Trust that everyone is having a great Saturday morning. I'm in my car today doing the podcast or the broadcast. Just left the gym and feeling good. Uh, like I said, sitting in the parking lot, just kind of self-reflecting, winding down a little bit. And this thought came to mind about being emotionally drained. And just wanted to talk about that a little bit. This has been a good week for me. Uh, and what the profession that I do as a mental health counselor, pastoral counselor. Um, Good week. Trust that you had a good week as well. And again, welcome to Let's Cross Together, which is an outreach or an extension of Bridge Crosser Solutions. And our focus is the ministry of mental health. And so let's talk about, are you emotionally drained? This is probably, and I always say this every time we have a new topic, but this is this is probably the top 5 of conversations that I have with individuals that I meet with. Being emotionally drained. Many times when we think of rest, regrouping or recouping or resetting, sometimes we could think those are things that we don't have time to do. But resting and regrouping, those are essential things. Though, as I posted in the comments or in the description, God designed peace and joy to complement our lives. He designed peace and joy. He designed those two things to complement our lives. And when we resist those things, or we don't think they are important, or they're not essential enough to really embrace into our lives, we're going to experience breakdown. We're going to experience breakup. We're going to crack up, if you will. I hate to use that term, but those things happen when we don't really take advantage of what God has given us to help maintain and to live above and to maneuver through in this life. As a leader, as a pastor, I had COVID, and I'm gonna be a little vulnerable, transparent on this particular podcast of Let's Cross Together. I had COVID in May. I had COVID, and I tell you, I was down. Uh, I was down for about I was down for a month. I was down for a complete month. The month of May, my wife and I was down with COVID. Now, I know people say, oh, it's a myth, it's not real, and they say a bunch of things. I've heard it all, and I was borderline one of those, like, didn't understand. I don't know, just don't take the shot if you should take, all those things. But the point I'm making here is, at the end of May, I got COVID. My wife and I, and we were down the whole month of May. We were down the whole month of May. Um, and I tell you, I'm 55. In my entire life, in ministry, my ministry life, I've been in ministry since I was 24, 23. So it's been like 30 years, 32 years actually, of just preaching the gospel. And for 30 years, I've been just going like boom, bam, boom, just knocking it out. Uh, Always on the go, maneuvering, waiting for the next thing, and preaching sermon, preparing for sermons, and just moving, and the power. If y'all understand what I'm saying, y'all know. Click like if you know what I mean. But that person that's preaching and teaching and boom, 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 boom. And so I've been at that speed for 30 years. For 30 years, I've been at that speed of just, So I got COVID in May, and it put me down for 30 days. It put me down for 30 days, or allowed me to be down for 30 days. And I tell you, for 30 straight days, I did nothing because I couldn't. I couldn't counsel. I didn't feel like preaching. I didn't feel like teaching. I didn't feel like answering calls. I just needed to rest. I just wanted to lay down. I just wanted to feel better. I prayed and for God to heal me. I was praying. I was just praying God and, binding and loosing and then doing all the things we were taught to do versus resting it through. Many times we try to cast out what we need to. It's not casting out. It's you got to rest things. Rest it through. REST. Walk it through. Rest it through. Regroup it through. And many times we're fighting. We're praying against what God is using to get us to refocus, to regroup, to re-identify what we're actually doing. For 30 days, I did nothing. I couldn't preach. I couldn't teach. I didn't want to because of how I was feeling. But after 30 days, it was beginning of May to the May 31st, which is my birthday. 30 days. I sat, after 30 days, I realized probably maybe for the first time, life went on without me being involved in everything. Life went on. People were still blessed. People were still living life without my involvement. Now, what am I saying in all of that? Well, many times we're drained, we're frustrated, we're overwhelmed. And one thing that causes that is having an expectation that we've created that doesn't exist. And so what I'm saying in that is we can actually inflict ourselves being emotionally drained by over involving ourselves in situations that don't necessarily need our attention or as much as our attention. And so after I came out of COVID, I was refreshed, I was revived, I was strengthened, I was lifted, I felt whole, I felt renewed. And many times for myself, those who know me, I'm on the go. I'm moving, I'm shaking, I'm just doing things and making things happen. Sometimes we can feel like we're led, but we're actually being driven. And so those 30 days were a great opportunity for me to refocus and to regroup. Morning, Alfred. Good to see you, my brother. And so it was a great opportunity for me. And so what I learned in that, and I have other pastor friends. I got a pastor friend of mine, or a person I know, I should say. I don't know if we're just acquaintances, I guess. But he took a sabbatical of about 3 or 4 months, and I realized, like, wow. And he said, I feel so refreshed. He has leadership in place. He has situations in place that allows him to take a rest and to not be as involved, because we got to remember, we're not angels trying to do God's will. We're human beings that need rest. We're not supernatural. As much as we try to think we're supernatural people, we're really not. And if we don't get rest, if we don't regroup, if we don't investigate solutions to help us grow in our minds, we're going to operate on E. We're going to operate on empty. We're going to operate depleted. And that's a terrible place to be, is to be drained, but still trying to operate at a high level. When God has designed rest, he has designed peace, he has designed joy to complement our lives. Why go through life and not as a believer, particularly as a believer, and not embrace the elements that God has given us to help enhance our lives? And so, as a pastoral counselor, the mental health professional, even from a faith-based perspective, the people that I see come to me drained, mentally exhausted. And as they begin to tell me what they're doing and what their lives are like, they begin to tell me all the things they're doing. And I simply say, well, doing all those things, you probably should be drained. Because if you're doing so many things that don't include peace, restoration, and joy, and 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 don't include any type of replenishing, you're really operating out of the will of God. Now, sometimes we think we're operating in the, let me say this, the work can be in the will of God, but we're out of his will doing what's in his will. Do y'all hear any truth in that? We're the work that we're doing is in the will of God, but we're out of his will doing it. Because if we don't include rest, if we don't include peace, if we don't include vacations, if we don't include outlets, uh, we can do God's will, which we could do the work, which is his will, but we can do it out of his will. It's out of God's will to do his work drained. And let me say it, let me state why. Because when we don't include what he's given us to be encouraged, now we're doing his work out of his will. We're rejecting peace. We're rejecting rest. We're rejecting outlets. We're rejecting regrouping, but yet we're doing God's will. But we're doing it from a low place, from a drained place, from a depleted place, a place of no peace. Because many times we can operate in skill versus the joy. And many times the skill level is so high, we replace the high level of skill. Well, I don't need joy. Well, I don't need peace. I don't need rest because I know what to do. But yeah, at some point, we're going to wear out. We're going to We're going to rut ourselves out, and we're going to burn out. So I want to encourage you to ask yourself: are you emotionally drained? Are you at a place where you're just frustrated? You're edgy. You're starting to hate what you used to love. One sign that you're emotionally drained is that uh, you begin to get agitated doing the thing you found joy in doing. I know for me, when I used to do certain things, and at some point when I became drained and I didn't take advantage of rest and walking with God in a healthy way, I became frustrated at the thing that I loved. Oh, but I thank God that he's a God of restoration. He's a God of revelation. He's a God that brings the truth to us to help complement our lives. He helps complement us. And many times, especially as leaders, most of the time I meet with a lot of leaders, and we're doing more things for God versus doing things with God. See, when you're doing things for God, that's emotionally drained because you create a lot of things and then you put in front of God and you want him to bless all our creation. And then if it doesn't look like it's growing, we'll get frustrated. We'll get edgy because we're trying to do things for God. God doesn't need us to do things for him. He wants us to work with him in the earth. He wants us to work with him. In Mark, the 16th chapter, it says Jesus worked with the disciples. He worked with them, confirming the word. And many glory to God. So one way is when you're frustrated at the thing you used to love. You used to love this, but after frustration comes, you begin to not like it. You begin to find what you used to love as a dread doing it. Well, let's step back and investigate why. There's nothing wrong with stepping back and looking to see what we can do better and how we can make things better. There's nothing wrong with regrouping. There's nothing wrong with that. Many times we fight peace. We fight rest because it sounds like it's a weakness. And we've been taught in the society and, we got to grind. We got to get our hustle on. But what's the purpose of doing all of that when emotionally you're overwhelmed? I just talked to someone recently. They're doing their business, and he said, "Man, this business is kicking my behind. Man, I'm drained. I'm frustrated, and it keeps me up at night." Now I understand hard. We're not talking about don't do hard work. That's not what I'm talking about. But we're talking about not recognizing when it's time to be refreshed. It's time to get our emotions. Time to maybe go for a walk. Like I just left the gym. Over here, worked out for about a couple. I try to come in there 3 or 4 times a week, walk 2 or 3 miles, work out, keep myself going, shoot some ball. You know what? It's so emotionally refreshing because if all I had was the work of what I'm doing, if that is all that I had, that is miserable if that's all I got. You can have vision and become vision fatigue. You can become focus fatigue. You can even come purpose fatigue because it's not balanced with the rest of God. It's not balanced with the peace of God. It's not balanced or tempered out with the joy of the Lord. If we're always in the zone, if we're always in the flow, then we're going to flow out. And I'm talking from experience. Any of you know me, I'm always on fire. I'm always ready. But when I had COVID, it was a time of reflection. It was a time to really regroup. And it was awkward for me to spend a full 30 days not doing anything. I've never done that in my whole life. Just a 30 days of nothing, of no ministry, no counseling, no praying for people, because I just couldn't. And do you know, after it was over, life still existed for those that maybe felt like they needed me. And I told them, hey, I'm sick. So COVID was a blessing in the sense of letting people know, hey, I can't talk. So they begin now to find other sources. They begin to investigate their own help. They begin to look into how to help themselves because I wasn't available. So it let me see two things. Me stepping back was a blessing for others because I wasn't answering calls because I couldn't. So now they grew because now they have to seek God and find other solutions for their own recovery or help. And then it helped me to grow, to realize life continues with or without me. So for 30 days, I was down, didn't feel well. Oh, but after the 30 days, and even till now, I'm refreshed, I'm strengthened, I'm encouraged. I'm overwhelmed with God's presence because now I'm allowing him to lead me versus me being driven by. See, we got to be careful that we're not driven by purpose versus being led by the Spirit. A spirit-filled life is being led, not driven, because ambition can drive us. Because ambition can create expectations that don't exist, and you're trying to meet the expectations of a mirage. Many times we're creating mirages thinking they're oases. So we're working at something that doesn't exist, and we become frustrated at it. Do y'all hear anything in that? So I just want to encourage you to investigate. Are you emotionally drained? Are you edgy? Are you frustrated? Are you leading people from an angry place? Or are you alone? I remember being back in the day, I used to be when I was in the world, I used to go to parties and God started dealing with me, but I didn't know it was God. I didn't understand the conviction, but I was in the word and I was in church. In a way I was, I guess, but I was in and out, but I didn't understand this whole thing about God and how he works and what he does. And so I remember I used to go to the club, hang out, get drunk, drink, be the life of the party. And then I will come, after I would leave all that, I will come to, let me pull over here. I will come to go to my room. And after I go to my room, I will go in the room and I will cry. I would just cry because I don't even know. I mean, now I know, but then I was so, after the life of the party, I would come in, I would just cry because I was empty. I was shallow and I was empty and nobody knew. Then somebody would knock on the door, I would get myself together. Yo, what's up, man? Y'all ready to go out? Let's do it. I will go back at it. But I was emotionally drained and tired and frustrated. And you know, there are many people that are like that they're the life of the party. They're doing all the things right in front of people. They're having fun, but when they get alone, they're emotionally drained, they're tired, they're frustrated. And then if someone knocks on the door, they get back into high gear. They get back into high gear, back into the maybe from the pressure of pretending or the pressure of the weight that's on them, they have to perform. Sometimes we can put ourselves in positions where we're pressured to perform. These are all emotionally draining things. I've talked to more pastors, and I was one of them. Sometimes we can create our own dilemma. We create our stress. We call it vision, but really what it's doing is causing division within ourselves. If you're saying God is giving you a vision, but it's causing division within you, then that's something worth investigating to see the validity of this vision. Because if it's causing, God never gives us anything to take away our peace. God doesn't give us a calling for us to backslide. God doesn't call us to quit. God doesn't call us to be overwhelmed. Now, there are times when we may be stretched, but I believe the call of God, if we be honest, we're able to handle it according to his grace and mercy. And if we look at the times when we get stressed, we can trace them back to possibly some things we didn't do in the correct manner. Because God doesn't lead me to burnout. He doesn't lead you and I to burnout. He doesn't lead us to quit. And sometimes our ambition does that. So this is just a way I want to encourage you to examine. Are you emotionally drained? Maybe some things you need to take off your plate. I had to do it. I'm telling you, this when I started Bridge Crosser Solutions, when I really started delving into what I believe God was leading me to help people with mental health, because I'm a mental health professional. It freed me more than anything, because not only am I learning new things, but I'm also incorporating what I know, but also I'm helping people from the same place I'm being helped also. I have people around me that help keep me focused and balanced and leveled out. So this is just a challenge for us to regroup, maybe refocus, refocus our attention. I'm trying to get myself over here where the sun is not hitting my phone as much. So the last time I was on, I didn't realize the sun was on my phone. It caused my phone to blink out. But this is why I'm in mental health. This is why I believe God has called me to help people, because I was one of those individuals that worked through versus resting through, versus trusting through, versus regrouping through. And many times we're pressed. We think it's the enemy when it's time to renew our minds and to be strengthened and maybe let somebody minister to us. We think that's the enemy, or we're showing weakness. No, the scriptures even talks about Jesus resting. You can't handle a certain level without resting. You can't operate at a certain level for so long and not think it's going to impact how you perceive, how you view people, how you deal with people. There is a place called rest. And in that place, God will give you, he will replenish you. He will re-strengthen you. He will revitalize, revive, renew. But we have to cooperate with God. We got to cooperate with him. Cooperate with rest. You ever notice, and I'm closing up on this a little bit, you ever notice when we get tired, we fight sleep? My wife has really helped me with this. I used to fight sleep because I felt like being up late, it was just what I was used to. And going to bed early, it seemed like it was a sin to go to bed early. I mean, she's like, I'm going to bed, baby. I'm like, good night. And she would go up without me. And then I'm sitting there trying to watch a movie while I'm fighting sleep, rather. And because it just sounded like going to bed early, it just sounded like it didn't make sense to do. I'm a grown man, and this is really the truth. Instead of going to sleep, allowing the natural, organic processes to take its place. Hey, I'm tired. Go lay down. I started fighting. No, I'm good. I'm good. No, I only need 4 hours of sleep. And so she helped me. Hey, it's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with going to bed at 8 if that's what it is. There's nothing wrong with going to bed at 9 if that's what it is. But my point to that is, why do we? Or I'm gonna say for myself, I used to fight it for no apparent reason, just because it seemed like it just wasn't right to go to bed early. Sometimes it's just psychological. Hey, your wife or your husband say, hey, you going to bed? No, that's early, man. I don't stay up that late. Okay. But then we're tired the next day. Then we're grumpy. See, we don't understand. This is why we're grumpy and agitated and combative. And we're not, when we see those signs happening, those things happen, we need to start investigating. Why am I all uptight all the time? Why am I grumpy? Why am I edgy? What is wrong? What's vexing me? Instead of pushing past it, sit still and say, you know what? Why am I like this? You ever, if you ever been somebody say, hey, how you doing? You respond with like, I'm doing fine. Why? Why are you asking me that? Like, you respond in a way that they didn't approach you in. And I see people all the time say, hey, all I said was hello. Usually that is because people are battling something. And when we say hello, many times we can interrupt them while they're in their struggle and they're frustrated. And when they respond like that, is because there's a struggle going on that they haven't maybe dealt with or come to grips with, or try to see what's happening. And when we interrupt them, it really displays what they are internally battling with. So all these things compete with our mind. All these things compete with our joy. God wants joy and peace and rest to complement our lives. He wants us to abide in the truth of his word. You're no less of a man if you go to bed early. You're no less of a hustler if you just shut down for a minute to regroup. People say, oh, you got to be on your grind, man. I don't have time to sleep. Well, do you have time to burn out? Do you have time to struggle? Do you have time to be? How do we have time to struggle, be angry and frustrated, but we don't have time for the thing that will help us to counter those things? We got time to be mad. We got time to be abrupt. We got time to be combative. We got time to be edgy. We got time to be frustrated. We got time to be rude. We got time to be hate. We got all this time for all the negativity, but it seems like we don't have time for rest. We don't have time for vacations. We don't have time to chill. We don't have time to max. We don't have time to relax. We don't have time to just lay back. We don't have time to watch something fun. Like, we got all the time for the things that are taken away from us, but we have little time for the things that complement, that add, that provoke us into joy. Don't you want to have joy? I don't know about you, but I want joy. I want peace. I want joy by experience. I don't always want joy by faith. Sometimes what I mean by that is we want joy by faith. When you ask people, how you doing? Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. By faith, I'm joyful. No, I want to have joy through experience. I want to experience laughter. I don't want to have it by faith. I don't want to look forward to it. I want to embrace it now. And how we put ourselves in a place where we become emotionally healthy, we got to begin to investigate what solutions are needed to add to my joy and to my peace. That's just the bottom line. This is mental health. Many times right now, mental health is a big thing. Let me see who's anybody. Mental health is a big thing right here. Charlie, good to see you. Yeah, so mental health is a big deal right now. So, athletes are quitting. I can't even think of her name, but in the news when she said she refused to do her last routine because she felt like it was too much. And see, we're snapping. We're snapping at people. We're road raging in the supermarket. We're road raging at church. We're road raging in our relationship because our mind, our emotions are drained. We've lost touch with ourselves, and many times we've morphed into something else. And that something else won't allow us to have peace, won't allow us to rest, won't allow us to chill, won't allow us to find wholeness. They are hearing the truth in that. So this is just, something that I wanted that encourages all with to chill. Take a chill pill. It's like a good rap song, good rap line back in the day in the 80s. Those who from the 80s, give me a shout out. Take a chill pill, my friend. Ha ha. Or anyway. But see, that's laughter. I'm gonna tell you what I do to help myself. My wife, I'm thank God for my wife. She helps me. She's always in that mode of laughing and joy and keeps me going. Sometimes just like I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm saying, hey baby, you okay? And she's making a face. But even if she just does funny things all the time. But you know what? I'm a mental health counselor, so why wouldn't I need that? Why wouldn't I want to do that? And so let me tell you some of the things I do to release. Number one, I've taken off things off my plate. Man, I've taken off some things that, let me say this, and this is going to help somebody. What am I looking at? What's the scripture? Romans 12:2 says, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our mind. But look at what it says the results are from a renewed mind, so we can prove what is good, what is acceptable, and what is the perfect will of God. So if our minds are not renewed, we're not elevating and we're not growing. We're staying at good when acceptable is still there. And then we're staying, well, this is acceptable. No, but let's get into the perfect will of God. So a mind that's, when you're emotionally drained, you've come out of alignment with growth. When you're emotionally tired, when you're doing things from a depleted place of peace and joy and hope, now you're operating from a place of being drained. You're making decisions from skill versus the refreshing. There's some things we can do because we've been trained to do, but I don't want to always operate in skill and not have joy and not have peace. That doesn't make sense. How does that make sense to get the job done frustrated? How does that make sense to reach the goal angry? How does that make sense to accomplish all the tasks and reach all my potential and I hate myself? It doesn't make sense that makes sense. So let's get our hearts and minds clear. God says in Isaiah 26, chapter 22, chapter 26, and verse 2. Let me read it real quick. 80s baby. That's right, Alfred. That was the ruling generation. It's Isaiah 20. He says, you will keep him in perfect peace. Isaiah 26 and 3. You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. Look at that perfect peace. That is so profound. Not just regular peace, but an advanced level of peace, perfect peace. And I heard a guy share with me recently, not me recently, but at one time said to me, we've talked about some things and I shared some things. He said, I've forgotten what peace felt like. Sometimes we can forget that peace exists, that fun exists, that regrouping exists, stepping back exists, rest exists. God created these things to help us. We don't have to be drained. We can experience joy again that comes from the word. We don't have to keep being fatigued and emotionally tired and then operating from that drained place. We don't have to do that. We have an option. We have an option, and an option is called peace. That option is called rest. That option is called joy. That option is called hope. That option is called outlet. That outlet is called step back, reset. These are things God has given us to help complement our mind, complement our lives. All right. So I want to thank you for tuning in on Let's Cross Together podcast. Our focus, as I always say, is the ministry of mental health, where we are dismantling mental health barriers. We are coming against those things that attack our minds and rob us of peace and joy. And so as founder of Bridge Crossers Solutions, I'm also I work in conjunction. I have a great team of people and coaches and counselors that I'm around. And if you need help to cross whatever the bridges in your life, I often say this, y'all often hear me say it. Bridges were created to be crossed, not simply admired. Let's cross together. And Bridge Crosser Solutions is about helping you we cross together through knowledge, through the wisdom, and ultimately through God's love and power and the revelation of his word. So Bridge Crosser Solutions, that is our focus, the ministry of mental health. Go to our website, Bridge Crossers, regrouping.com. And if you need help with something, reach out to us. We also are building out our YouTube page, trying to get that going more. Go to our page, Fernando Cottrell Official. That's our YouTube page. Subscribe to it. Going to be working on it more. I have some people now that's going to be coming on board, helping me build out some things. But most importantly, we're crossing together. And stay healthy, stay whole, stay safe out here. Don't allow life to get you down. Things are going to happen. Situations occur, but get around some people that encourage you, people that you can get hope from and inspired. And let's do this together. All right. So I'm out of here. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Cross Together with yours truly, the mental health pastor, Pastor Fernando Cottrell. Glenn, good to see you on, my brother. Been a while. Good to see you. Charlie, good to see you. Alfred. Who else is on here that I can see? Randy, my man. Okay. And yeah, good to see you, Glenn. All right, my man. All right. Touch base with me through the what do you call it? The message. Inbox me rather, your number, and let's connect. Alfred, good to see you, my friend. Trust you are well. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Share this video. This is how we change lives. Go to my website, bridgecrossers.com. Go to website, bridgecrossers.com. We on Instagram, YouTube, Fernando Cottrell Official. We're building it out. We're going to actually, that's going to be probably our main platform we're going to work from and build out. And then from there, we're going to tag the other locations. Day, good to see you, my man. Appreciate all of you. And remember, you don't have to be emotionally drained, but it's going to take some work. You're going to have to let go of some things, maybe let go of some people, maybe call some people less, because we all got some people around us we got history with, but really it's stressing us too. This is stressful history now. Maybe it's time to develop some new history, to go to some new places. The bottom line is God never calls us to stress. The bottom line, God never calls us to do that. People say, God has called me to do it, and in 2 weeks you're backsliding. God doesn't call you to give up. Amen. So that's just a word for somebody. God doesn't he doesn't give you something, and in 2 weeks we can't find you. No, he doesn't call you. He doesn't call you to anything that's going to, let me say it like this. If he's called you to, if he's giving you a primary thing, he's not going to give you something that takes you from something else he's called you to. Ambition is one of the most emotionally draining things we can have. There's some healthy pieces to ambition, but for the most part, ambition keeps you looking beyond maybe what actually is. We think, God wants us to dream, but he wants us also to dream according to his will. And many times a false or unhealthy view of ambition can take you further than really what God intends, or really where you are, where you need to be. And sometimes we're living dissatisfied, and we think, and we keep calling it, God is leading me to the next season. Everybody's got all these different seasons God is leading them to, where they haven't completed this season. I'm in the season of this. Well, when did you win in that season? Did you learn anything from that season? Did you accomplish? God is not calling us to seasons where we didn't become seasoned. Every season should season you. Oh, y'all don't hear anything in that. Every season is about us being seasoned. So many times we can shift seasons unseasoned. We didn't get the lesson learned. We didn't learn. We didn't grow. We didn't accomplish the will of God. And we move to the next thing, and we create an easier will because God's will seems like it's too much I have to give up. So let me create an easier will that I can control. Oh, but it's emotionally draining when you create all these expectations that doesn't exist. Do y'all hear anything in that? And so So anyway, that's just a little side piece. I'm going. Charlie, good to see you. Yeah, the season is to make us more seasoned. And many times we haven't become seasoned, but we left it. Now we're unseasoned in a new season. And anything that's unseasoned doesn't taste good. So now we're living a life that doesn't taste good. We're well, anyway, I'm not going there. But anyway, I appreciate all of you. Hallelujah. So let's cross together, share this video, and together we can change lives. All right. We got a class coming up. I'm working on our signature program, Emotional Rescue. And so if you're interested in that class and want more information about it, maybe about 4 or 5, 6 weeks class, Emotional Rescue, where we're going to be dismantling mental health barriers that rob us of peace and joy, and we're going to be bringing joy and restoring joy and peace back to the lives of people. So if you're interested in this class, our Emotional Rescue, also known as the ER, where we're going to be emotionally rescuing ourselves from all these things that have attached themselves to our mind and cause us to morph into something else. And this class is going to be a blessing to you. If you're overwhelmed mentally, if you got trauma going on, if you can't shake some things in your life and you've embraced negative mindsets and dysfunctional thinking and behavior patterns, this class is for you, because we're going to be going in, we're going to have fun, but we're also going to experience joy and peace and bringing restoration in our lives, so we can have wholesome thinking. We can be whole, and we can not just be whole by faith, but also be whole by experience. I don't know about you, but I want to live in wholeness, not just look forward to it. And we can, and I am, and it's a joy. But there's some things we had to let go. There's some things I had to do to get to this place, and I'm still growing in it. I had to overcome some trauma. Many times it's the trauma that's holding us back. It's the things that not just holding us back in a sense that we're trying to let it hold. I mean, we're consenting to it. Sometimes we don't know how to let things go. We don't know how to overcome what has happened to us. But trust me, I've been there. And so these steps that we're going to be dealing with in this emotional rescue class, it's going to deal with a lot of things. So if you're interested, what is it? Is it DM? Is that's what they say? DM? I'm still old school. I don't know what is that. Inbox me or private message me saying you're interested in the emotional rescue master class. I call it Emotional Rescue Master Class, and I'll get you some information, and then I'll put you on the list. There is a small fee to it, and we will discuss that because it is going towards what I do professionally as a pastoral counselor, but it's going to be enough where it's going to be where people can be involved. And so, all right, if you want to be a part of that class, Emotional Rescue Master Class with yours truly, the mental health pastor, board certified pastoral counselor, master life coach, human services counselor, mental health professional. So if you want to be a part of this, hit me up, DM. Let me know, hey, I want to be a part of it. I'll send you some information and we can go from there. But all right, I'm out of here. Appreciate you all. Shout out to my wife, Paula, who's a great blessing to me, great inspiration. And all of you, good to see all of you. All right, I'm going. Let's cross together. Peace.